Yeah, I mean, I came across this, I'd say about 5 years ago. I was at a conference in Penn State, and I was fortunate enough to hear a woman by the name of Kim talk about Ukeru and what it meant to a company called Grafton in Virginia. And I was just blown away about how they invented this model and implemented it and what the outcomes were. And after her presentation, I went up to her and I said, wow, this is something that we need to bring to KidsPeace. This is just mind-boggling and how it's changed everything. And she was all for it. And luckily, I came back and was able to talk to our executive leadership and our training department, and they were all for it too.
It was presented to us and we got the training that was necessary to implement it. We also introduced it to the children. So every client had a chance to know what we're doing, what's the approach at this point, this is the new system we're using, and they didn't get fearful of the mats. So their response to it was our presentation, the way we presented it to them, they responded very well to it.
I noticed that our staff appear to be more willing to interact with a student if he or she is in crisis. I think having those tools in the classroom or on their hand helps to de-escalate the anxiety that the child in crisis might have, and I think it provides a lot more comfort to crises as they happen.
My experience with the Ukeru implementation was a little bit unique because I was one of the first people to go through KidsPeace to have Ukeru in NAO. So I learned both Ukeru and SEM at the same time. I know that through listening to other coworkers, Ukeru was a whole different game for them, and that they enjoyed the fact that there are less restraints and we are able to be more authoritative instead of authoritarian, and we can really create relationships with the kids that sometimes get lost through the restraint process.
Definitely did. Just seeing how the kids responded and reacted to having that least restrictive approach, we saw a huge difference.
Yeah, so we focus mostly on how staff were going to use Ukeru, but I know that the clients are really receiving it well too, because it has taken away that scary factor. I know in the past, when kids were taken to timeout, they knew that a restraint was coming, so it kind of increased aggression or increased that fear in the client, like, I know what's going to happen. Ukeru has really helped them as well, because they are also allowed to use the mats as they choose. It's not only for a protective use, so they're a lot more comfortable with it, and so when the mats come out, it doesn't increase any aggression in them, and they are willing to work with us to help themselves de-escalate.
On the younger kids, I think they kind of see it as almost like a toy initially, and the classroom staff kind of work with them in that capacity. But it's great. It's a great resource in the timeout area where they can come in and just kind of kick it or punch it and process and de-escalate in a less threatening, more safe fashion.
We do also give the children the opportunity to have a voice. So if I'm in the middle of an instruction and I'm requiring them to pull out a specific color of a marker maybe, and they want to use a different color, then I'm going to allow them to use that color instead of controlling the situation. Just want to make sure that the assignment gets done no matter what color they use.
As we get older, as the students get older within our program, the tools and the resources obviously are going to change. And I think the classroom staff work together well to identify what their specific age group might need.
So a comfort room is a designated space that is a sensory-enriched environment filled with sensory objects that work as coping skills, which help clients on their path when they are escalating. So it's a de-escalation technique to make sure that the kid can calm down before they would hit their boiling point and would have to go into a restraint. The last time I used the comfort room, I had a client who was very anxious about something that had happened at home, and they were unable to stay seated in the classroom and focus on work. So I took the client to the comfort room. When we first got to the comfort room, we talked about the behavior of the concern, so them not sitting properly and not focusing. From there, we rated their emotion and we identified the emotion. So I am feeling anxious, and on a scale from 1 to 5, this is where I feel. I also rated the client, and from there, once we decided that the comfort room was the space that we needed to utilize, we worked on coping skills.
Well, cultural change it's tough. Change is hard for anyone, and I think for us to get the change that we needed in at this campus and throughout the department is we needed champions at every level. And we were very fortunate enough to have some line staff and crisis staff that just were all on board from the beginning. And my executive leadership above me and my management team, they all wanted to see this happen. And why not? I mean, it's a great system. It allows us to be safer. It allows staff to be safer. Puts kids safer, the whole building safer. And it's a great thing to get behind.
I feel like here at Berks, some of the successful keys to implementing Ukeru were, one, the staff having an open mind. I know that some folks here have done SEM for years, and it was a new change for them, so them just being open-minded to the process. I also feel a lot of the data and the background from Ukeru and where it started and how it has been successful at other campuses and other organizations as well as our own really helped for it to be successful at Berks Campus.
Changes are a bit hard to adjust to and even come across, but giving it a try will be the key to knowing how successful it could be in your, department. Like, it's been successful for us here, and we're happy that we actually implemented it in our program.
I think initially we're a little standoffish and a little guarded. Maybe we felt a little silly as we were practicing with those mats, but I think the more training that I got, the more available they were, the positive feedback that we had gotten from our peers and the students, I think it's been a positive change. So ultimately, like I said before, I think just keep an open mind about the program and the new tools that are available to better treat and serve our clients.
It's fantastic. I've been, my 21 years at KidsPeace have all been in community programs. This is the program I started at 21 years ago as a line staff. So I'm able to relate to kind of what it's like to be down on the floor and to work with these kids day in and day out. It's a very tough job. And for us to come in and to say, hey, you have a tough job and we want you to stop utilizing a tool and a system that you've been kind of relying on, and that being physical restraint. We want you to try this. It was a tough sell, I think, at first, but we really got a lot of good people behind it. And for me to see the success that it's brought and to feel the climate downstairs and how it's changed. I mean, I can walk around the building now and it just, you can feel a different vibe. Staff are happier at work. There's more communication between the staff and the clients. There's a better connection between the staff and the clients. So for me, it's been powerful and incredible.